Hello folks, my name's Combat Bunny and I'm here to tell you today why I think you should care about a game called Glimpse of Luna. A little bit of background behind myself. I am a streamer on Twitch, but I do YouTube videos as well. And I have a background in playing various card games, strategy games, tactical games, all that sort of thing. I have recently started playing this game in the last 3 weeks. In full disclosure, I have been given merchandise by the developers, and I've also been given a few of the starter decks for free as well. So let's talk about Glimpse of Luna. What is it? Well, the developers are calling it a tactical chess style game, and that's pretty darn accurate. When I first came across it was the card aspect of it that I found very interesting. The movement of the cards, all that sort of thing, which I'll go into a little bit later. But at the what I started to see is that the game is much more tactically focused than card focused. I'll just go into the old mill. This is where we can look at some of the cards here, and I'll start to show you what I mean by this. This game is in beta at the moment, so it's not been released onto Steam. You can get it from the website, which I'll put a link on below. We'll take a wee look at one of the types of card here just now and just start to go through it. So, how a card is set up is we've got attack, health, movement, and the range of the card. Now you can't move and attack at range in this game. If you move, you're attacking in melee. But I'll go into that sort of thing a little bit later on. So you've got your numbers here. Your attack value is compared to the opponent's health value, and if you manage to beat it, then you'll kill them. The game is played on a grid, which I'll show you a little bit later on, and you're able to move all of your units in a turn, unlike in chess where you can only individually move one unit at a time. The actual aim of the game is to reduce the enemy's morale points, which starts at 25. You're trying to remove those points and take them down to 1. And you do this by knocking out their units. Basically, each unit has a morale point value that is lost when you kill it. In the case of this unit here, this is a hero, and you'll lose 10 points if they were to kill it. There are additional units, such as Guardians, which are represented by this G here. These are immobile heroes that you will have on the board, and they're worth 10 points as well. Then you've got your Masters, which are 3 points, Pioneers, which are 2 points, and then your basic Warriors that are 1 point. In the case of Warriors, you have the ability to stack some cards together. You can see it down here if it has this little symbol and the number here. This is the number that you can have maximum in the deck at a time. And these units will start to build up and their stats will increase. Their attack and health stats will increase at the same time. So there are 4 factions in the game: the Nafas, Norder, Tagari, and Arachnids. The Nafas are a slower defensive style race. They tend to have high health stats, but relatively low movement compared to a lot of the other factions. The Norder are an all-rounder. They have a little bit of everything really. So they are able to fight at long range, at short range. They have certain units that are quite fast, and they have units with good range on them as well. But they don't really excel at any particular thing in game. The Tagari are a high movement race. They have a lot of units with large amounts of mobility. They tend to have very high attack, but they don't tend to be particularly tough. And then you have Arachnids. The Arachnids are a kind of swarming style race. They have a lot of troops that can bunch up a lot, and they have a lot of status effects like poisons and paralyze effects and various things like that. That is your basics of that. When it comes to making a deck for this game, you have to have 1 hero in your deck, 1 Guardian, 3 Masters, 7 Pioneers, and 15 Warriors, and also 3 pieces of equipment. Now, Your heroes are very limited in their selection. There are 3 for each faction, but I only have 2 of them for the NAFAS currently. You can select one of these units, pop it in. You'll see that it fills up this bar here. Now, you have to have this number of cards for each in your deck. So 1 hero, 1 guardian, 3 masters. You cannot go over this number. So you're not able to stack up your deck with the extra units. You are specifically restricted to having each of these numbers here. So your 3 masters, your 7 pioneers, your 15 warriors, etc., etc. So you'll select these. I'll just grab a bunch of cards right now, pop them into the deck. Now, in the case of the troops, as I mentioned, you can have multiples of these in the deck at once. You can see down here in this section here, at the bottom right, that you've got 4. So I've added 4 of these units into the deck here. And I'm not going to explain the ins and outs of best cards to use or suggested cards in this particular video, though I am looking at trying to do some of that in the future. For now, I'll just show the building of a deck, and then we can move on to the next section. In the case of equipment, which is something I've not covered yet, you have 3 pieces of equipment that you can add to your deck. These can be added onto any card that has the corresponding type of attack on it. So, for example, you've got warriors, you've got marksmen, and hermeticists. Every unit will fall into a category of that type. So, for example, this is equipment for a swordsman. It will provide 1 movement. You can see that movement because the stat here. This is the green section here. This particular piece of equipment is +1 health for a swordsman. But you could also have +2 attack for a marksman here. So we'll just pick 3 pieces of equipment here. And we'll add that to the deck. You need to name a deck before you can complete it. So we'll just call this one test. And then that's it, ready to go there. You can see I've got various other decks that I've been playing with. Okay, we'll come back out of here now that we've built a deck. And we'll start to look at the board once we find a game. So most games at the moment are played through the social match. The Fight Real Battle is for playing ranked. Most players will try to go into this queue when they first start playing. I certainly did. This is the rank queue, and there isn't a gigantic number of players playing at the moment. It's a bit harder to find a game there, so I would suggest going into social matches. If you are struggling to find a match, you can also find them. You'll be able to go to the Discord, and you'll be able to find games there. And I'll provide a link to the Discord down below in the video as well. So as I said, this game is still in beta at the moment, and the community is still growing. But when I first started playing a few weeks ago, it was I would specifically have to ask on the Discord to find a game. But now I'm finding that games are much faster in coming around. Depends on the time of day that you're playing, but it can be anywhere from 10 seconds to a minute or 2 before you find a game generally. While we wait here, I'm going to open up the music. You'll be able to hear the music for the game. Alright, so we've found a game. Now, when you first start a battle, You'll have a minute to look through the cards that you have, so your Masters, Pioneers and Warriors, and you will be able to put them into a starting 5 slots for your units. So these are any 5 units you want. You could take a whole load of little guys if you wanted and bunch them all up to begin with, or you could take some others. As well as these 5 cards, you'll also have your hero and your guardian brought onto the field. So we'll just quickly take out some cards just now. I don't even know what cards I actually brought here, so we'll just quickly throw something together. I should take this one out, put this in instead. And this here down in the bottom right will help you if you're a wee bit unsure about what you need to do here. So once you've selected that and both players have hit OK, it will take you into the board. So these are the hexagons that make up the spaces of the battle board. You can tell if you're going first. Now this isn't something that the game specifically tells you, but if you've got the little pipe on the bottom right corner, then it means that you're going first. If you've got the armband up here, then that means that you're going second in the game. So we can tell from there that we're going first. And we just select our units, put them out onto the board as we want them. In the case of these guys, they're troops, so we can add them together. And then we can move off from there. Right, so we both need to finish setting up before the time limit runs out, or the game will reset. And then I'll be able to take my first turn from there. So if you're looking to look at, if you want to see what the unit stats are in more detail, you can hold space and that will show you a larger picture of them. Okay, well, we've got someone that's left the game unfortunately just now. So we'll need to set up another one. Okay, so we found another game. I'll just pick 5. I'll just pick 5 as I normally would. I'm not, although there's a lot of abilities that go along with these cards, we won't look at them today. Although it is the abilities that specifically add quite a lot to the game. Now I'm choosing to take a lot of my high-end cards here, but there are reasons that you might want to do that, which I'll show shortly. Just throw these cards out just now. We are going second. Right, so very first thing is that the morale that you have to fight with is here. So you are trying to knock the opponent's morale cost, or morale score down to 0 by killing off their units. And we're going to, as you can see, when we lost this unit here, because it was a 3-star unit, we have lost 3 from our morale points at that. So once the opponent's taken their turn, if you go second, you get to draw cards at the beginning. If you go first, you don't. We now take our units and we can add equipment to them if we want. You can only add equipment to units that are in your hand, and they cannot be added to the to the units that are considered troops, which are the ones that you're able to stack together. So, for example, this card here or this card. But we could add stuff to this warrior if we wanted to. You select the card that you want, and then you can just click on it, and you can add the stuff in as you want to. We are not going to add any attack here because this is relatively weak, this card, in this current situation that we're in. We're going to put this stuff out here instead. So we'll go in for some attacks. You select the card that you want. You can press, if you hover over a card, you can press F to show what the card's movement is, or you can press T over a ranged card. Oh, now, that only seems to work with certain cards. Interesting, I didn't know that. Oh, it's R. It's not T. If you press R, you can see the range on that the card can fire at. Okay. So we'll just move some units up just now. I'm not trying to put any major thought into this game at the moment. We we just want to try and show a game getting played sort of as quick as possible. But you can see that there's quite a lot of potential movements on the field, and this is where the tactical aspect is. The only part that the cards play as a randomizing factor is that you don't know what cards you're going to be drawing on your turn. So we'll move our units out here. And we'll just wait for our turn. All right. So now we have to put more cards down. If we put them on this side, obviously they can get attacked by these ones. They've got fairly high movement. So we're going to have to play cards to this side of the field. Otherwise, we will be punished for it, for using it. All of his units here are movement 1. So we can move this guy up and attack. And as I say, you select the unit, you press the C to activate where you want to close combat, and it will show you the spaces that you can stand in at that point to attack. So we'll move up into that position. Okay. We're most likely going to get quite beaten up here. But that's part of the fun. We have a bit of time to go over abilities at the moment. Because it's the Arachnids that we're playing against, they have quite a lot of time-based abilities and various other effects. So on the right-hand side there, you can see that they have a unit called Manipulation, which changes the time that opponents have left or that you have left in a turn. In this case, anytime this unit kills something, it will make the person that it'll make the opponent lose time from their turn. And Juck has a last strike return effect. Again, I'll go over these later. I'm just trying to get through my turns quick here because I'm not in a good spot in this game. You must play units before you can play anything else in the field. So there's a button that you can cancel those placements if you want to, but you must put down first before doing any of your actual activations. In this case, we can only put down 2 cards because this card is reducing the number of units that we're allowed to put onto the field in a turn. And this one, when it hits someone, reduces their attack. So it's going to weaken the people that we're fighting against slightly. Can move some up here. the sort of trick to the game is that you want to try and use low cost star units. So, for example, 1-star units to kill 2-star or higher units. That way you can set it up so that you're threatened a lot less in the game at any one time. Because if you're knocking out the enemy's morale points and they are losing more than you, then it's that's a good thing at that point. During your turn, or the opponent's turn, you can look at your movements. This card here is actually disabling my leader, so I'm not able to move it. That's why it's grayed out at the start for any of the actions. Again, we have less actions here because of the type of cards that we've got. Quickly run through this. And we're probably dead next turn. I think. Yes, because there's 18 damage here that's enough to kill the leader. And that will drop us to below 10. You could surrender in this situation if you wanted to. You can surrender after the 5-minute mark, but we'll run it out because we know how this is. This should be pretty quick. Don't know why he didn't just kill me there, but okay. Trying to showboat. Going for the Guardian instead of the hero. Okay, so that is a game played out. It's very tactical, and I find it a lot of fun. What I'd like to do now for the last little part of the video is go back into the mill. I'll very quickly mention some of these abilities, or more specifically, I'll show you exactly how many there are. So there are a wide variety of abilities in here that cover various different effects in game. These can change the stats of your units or the opponent's units. They can affect time in the game, and they can affect the amount of units that you're allowed to place down on the field, like the lesser reinforcements that I mentioned during the game that we just played. There can be effects that take place on death, and there are cards that can boost up damage against certain other cards that are on the field. I'll try and cover these abilities in another video because they are quite extensive. That is the absolute basics of the game. Something that I haven't mentioned is that the timer that sits at the side of the field, if you ever run out of time on your turn, then the game actually ends at that point, and you will get a loss. So time is very important, and you have to be planning out what you want to do ahead of schedule, so that you can make sure that you are not running out of time. There are cards that actually manipulate that time as well, so it is a resource. I'll show you this card here. This ability is that anytime this kills one of your units, then you would lose 10 seconds out of your time. So if this guy was to attack one of yours and kill them, then it could set you back quite a bit. And it's this type of thing that makes the game very challenging and interesting. So that is the basics of Glimpse of Luna. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'll be streaming this game fairly regularly on Twitch. I stream 5 days a week, so you can catch me on twitch.tv/combat_bunny. I'll put the link down below in the description. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask there. I hope to do some more videos soon. But thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.